So the DNC is right now prepping for 2028. So they're laying the groundwork, they're getting people ready, they're shaking hands, all of that good stuff. But let me tell you right now, none of that is going to work.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Welcome, my brothers and sisters, to an episode of the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I appreciate every single last one of you all for being here. We're pretty much on time tonight. All right, are y'all excited? This is great. This is absolutely wonderful. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all very much for being here. We have some things we need to discuss because we're in 2025. We're at the end, really, of 2025. We're towards the end of 2025, but the Democrats have been taking a tremendous loss, okay, for the last few years or so. Okay, they took a major L with Joe Biden, and they took a major L with his VP pick, Kamala Harris. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris essentially were the nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party. That's what they were. Now, we all know really it was Obama that kind of set the building on fire, and it was a slow burn ever since he was in charge and ever since he did what he did, which is doing things for everybody else but not doing anything for foundational Black Americans. So he's the one who set the fire essentially. But it was Biden's administration and then Kamala Harris presidential campaign, if you can call it that. It was that kind of really cemented to Black people that the Democrats are not looking out for Black people. All right, they're looking out for everybody and their mama that's not Black. That's who they're looking out for. Okay, so the Democrats are right now trying to set the groundwork real early because they know they need a big win, not only in 2026, which is coming up next year, okay, for the midterms, but they also need a real big win for 2028. So right now they're trying to set the groundwork. They're trying to get the prepping ready for that. Okay. So I've seen some things, I've discussed some things, or been watching some interviews and stuff like that. And I'm starting to realize, like, you know what? I see the play. I see it. And it's time for me to let the community know so the community can be aware of the play from the Democratic Party. All right. So before we get started, what we're going to do is we're going to play the copyright disclaimer to establish to YouTube that everything we played thus forth is protected under the guise of fair use. All right. So as I'm doing that, what I would greatly appreciate for you all to do is to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that share button, all that good stuff. Just hit it. All of the good buttons, hit them. All right. All of the great buttons, hit the great buttons. All right. We'll be right back with you all. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right. Okay, cool. So I want to start off by reading this. Where is it? Let me pull this up. I want to start off by reading it. This is from the Democrats. This is from the DNC. Okay, here we go. We're not going to read the whole thing, but it is important that we do read this. Okay, it is important that we read this so we can know exactly what they got going on, what they planning on. So right here, I'm going to scroll all the way up. The Democrats eye new presidential primary calendar in 2028 with South Carolina top spot in jeopardy. Shout out to everybody from South Carolina. I know we got a lot of people who listen from South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina. Shout out to the Carolinas. Shout out to the South. The South is very important. Now, I want everybody to understand that going in, that the South is very important. So they're trying to really set the groundwork and prime the pump early for that. Okay. So it starts off the Democratic National Committee, that's the DNC, is seriously considering scrambling the party's 2028 presidential primary calendar in South Carolina, the state that hosted the Democrats first in the nation contest in 2024, is far from locked to go first. So South Carolina was the first thing, and now they're saying that we don't know if we want to put it on South Carolina. It's saying That's according to several members of the DNC's new leadership, including Chair Ken Martin. Okay, so that's the leader. He's the chair of the DNC. All right, Ken Martin. His name is going to come up. Now, we're not going to read all of it, but it's very important that we all understand and pay attention to exactly what they're saying here. All right, that's very imperative. We got to pay attention to what they're saying because they're really letting us know what's important to them in this article. And then we got some more stuff we got to play. So I need y'all to hit that like button because we in here. We deep in here. Okay. It says the idea is we're going to sort of rubber stamp the old calendar. Okay. They're not going to do that. It says that is not likely to happen. Okay. Martin, who is the chairman, he told the Associated Press, followed closely by political insiders, the other of each party's state-by-state presidential nomination process has majority implications for the economies of the state involved in candidates and ultimately the nation. All right. Notice the word South Carolina comes up. The changes may come even as the next presidential primary has already begun informally. Okay. So that's kind of what's already going on. At least a dozen. Okay. A half a dozen presidential prospects have already begun to make early pilgrimage to states that topped the calendar last time. South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Iowa, chief among them. Let me explain exactly what this means before we continue. And as you guys are hitting the like button and as we getting into it, let me explain what this means. What this means, family, is that when they talk about the Democratic calendar, really, when it comes to presidential elections and national elections and stuff like that, they like to base things off of they want to choose a swing state. They want to choose a swing state with a super large black population, a big black population in order to win. They also, a lot of that is kind of where their base is going to be, where their foundation is going to be. So a lot of that is where they're going to have major events and boo up the bam and stuff like that. A lot of that is what was going to be in that situation. So that's why they're kind of leaning to South Carolina, but they're not all the way leaning to South Carolina. Not all the way. All right. Very important. Getting back to it. Okay. Okay. Getting back to it. So it keeps saying, okay. So the changes okay. Now, down here, okay, the would-be candidates may need to amend their travel schedules. While Democrats and Republicans have the power to change their calendar every 4 years, the same batch of states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, have demonstrated the progress for decades. Okay, Democrats led by former President Joe Biden gave South Carolina the opening position in 2024 instead of Iowa and New Hampshire, and a nod to the party's most loyal base of, hold on, listen, black voters. I want you to understand, they're already saying that the black voters, we are the most important, okay? This is very important, all right? The black voters, they're already saying the most loyal base. Now, before they weren't saying this. They were saying it was black and brown. Now you're not hearing black and brown. But don't expect them to keep consistent with that. They tend to like to switch stuff up, but they will start off saying black voters, okay? And then it says, while adding Georgia and Michigan, okay? So-called early window. And Georgia and Michigan have a large black population as well, too. It continues to say, but now the new group of party officials is governing the calendar's process, all right? Martin earlier in the year replaced former chair Jamie Harrison, a South Carolina native, and 32 of the 49 members of the powerful Rules and Bylaws Committee. Okay, so the party has pretty much just changed. It says, which will vote on any new calendar move before. My bad, y'all. Something just popped up on the screen that distracted me. It says, which will vote on any new calendar before it moves to the party's full body or new in the committee. All right. So they got to vote on this. So we're going to skip down a little bit. Okay. Now notice what they're saying right here. Okay. Okay. We're not as tired right here. Sorry, I almost skipped this part. This is important. we're not as tired to the way we're not as tied to the way we've always done things. Okay. So they're trying to change things up, said the DNC Vice Chair Shasta Carred, who is a newcomer to rules and bylaws and also chairs the Washington State Democratic Party. Now listen to this. A priority for me is there is a large community of color in those states, she said. Okay, large community of color. That's already a red flag. As Democrat officials gather in Martin's home state of Minnesota for their summer meeting this week, there are several private conversations about whether South Carolina, which is a reliably Republican state, should be replaced by another southern state that is considered a swing state in the general election. North Carolina and Georgia are considered for early favorites if a change is made. So right now they're still aiming for South Carolina, but they're considering North Carolina and Georgia. All right. It says Martin himself said South Carolina should lose its top spot, but he expressed confidence that the state with a large black population, if not South Carolina, would be featured primarily which would be sorry, my bad, had a cough. My allergies kind of acting up a little bit, but I need y'all to have some patience with me, which would be featured prominently in the Democrats' next national process. It says, now we're going to stop right here. Clearly, the most reliable constituency of the Democratic Party are black. I want you to understand, they're not saying black and brown. They're not they said people of color one time. They said people of color one time, but they're not saying black and brown. They're not saying people of color like that. They're saying black voters, black voters, black voters. This is one thing that we're telling you guys. It's all about the black vote. So that's where they're going to South Carolina, huge black population. Even if they go to North Carolina, large black population. If they went to Georgia, large black population. All of this stuff, large black excuse me. Large black population. I'm going to take a sip. I got some tea right here. Let me take a sip of this tea. Okay. Large black population. All right. That's what they're looking for. We're going to finish things up right here. And they will have a predominant role in the selection of our nominee, Martin said. And whether it's South Carolina or some other states, rest assured that making sure that these states are in the mix that actually will battle test your nominee with African American voters is really critical to making sure we can win in November. Okay, so I want us to understand this. All right, are you guys? Let me ask y'all a question. Are we hitting this like button? Is this what we are doing? Let's hit this like button, family. Okay, everybody, let's hit that like button. Okay, so this is the situation. This is where they're at right now, where they're really testing the waters for South Carolina. They're really doing stuff for South Carolina right now. Okay, that's kind of where they're leaning towards. Now, what's interesting is that you have Gavin Newsom, and a lot of people are saying that Gavin Newsom is kind of setting the groundwork. He's trying to prep, essentially. Excuse me, I'm just going to actually, let me just finish the rest of this tea real quick, okay? I had to, but been busy, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm good now. I'm good. Allergy season is something else, but it's pretty much, I pretty much got rid of it. Pretty much, it's gone. I appreciate y'all patience, and y'all so concerned. Y'all just so concerned. I just love that. Y'all just so concerned. Y'all be all like, Afro, you got to have tea and lemon, and you got some ginger at the house. I just love how concerned you guys are. I'm fine. I'm fine, but thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all so much. All right. But Gavin Newsom is setting the groundwork essentially for a 2028 run. He's kind of testing the waters a little bit. So, yeah, that's what he's doing. So Gavin Newsom actually went to South Carolina. And Gavin Newsom's doing his speech and hoorah and all of that stuff in South Carolina. Okay, that's what he's doing. Let me show y'all this. Okay. Share that with y'all real quick. We're going to get into it.
Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is touring South Carolina today and tomorrow. Newsom is holding small meet and greet events in more than half a dozen counties. Earlier today, Newsom sought to fire up voters he encountered by trying to turn their attention about the stakes in next year's midterm elections.
In 18 months, you have the power to end Donald Trump's presidency. You have that power in these midterms. So I want you to know how important you are. And I want to thank you for being here today, but most importantly, I want to thank you for everything you're doing tomorrow, next month, and next year.
Andy Bryson joins me now, and she's been covering the early parts of the governor's tour of South Carolina. It will, of course, continue tomorrow. Andy, what have you seen so far?
Well, what I saw on the ground here in Bennettsville was a crowd, and I need a crowd that was engaged and excited about Governor Newsom's visit. I spoke to some local women who said that, you know, their local Democratic meeting usually gets about 8 members a month, and we guessed that there were about at least 70 people in the audience for Governor Newsom's meet and greet this afternoon. And, you know, they really were excited to see Newsom because they feel that he's more aggressive than other Democratic governors and leaders in the party. And they like how assertive he is and how much he pushes back against Trump. You know, they spoke about previous governors that have visited and said they kind of feel they're more timid, but they're really standing by Newsom. And even though he hasn't come out and said that he's planning to run in 2028, you know, this was a strong start in what could be the first primary state.
Okay, that's one thing. Okay. Notice that they're doing that. They do that. This is them gassing, and this is something that they do before somebody makes an announcement. And I've said this before on another live stream. Before somebody makes an announcement, they already prime the pump. So they get the media behind them. They get articles and stuff like that made about them. They prime the pump before they make an announcement to kind of get people excited and anticipating them running. And then next thing you know, they'll be all like, you know what, for the sake of democracy and for the sake of America, we're going to run. I'm going to run. You know, I wouldn't do it. I would step down and let somebody else lead. But right now, I think I'm the only one who can do it. They always do that. Okay, this is something that they always do to make it seem like a hero has risen out of nowhere to defeat the evil villain. This is what they're doing. Okay, so right now, you're going to see a lot of gassing of Gavin Newsom in particular. There's going to be a lot of big gassing of Gavin Newsom, like, oh, Gavin Newsom is so strong and brave for pushing back against Trump. Nobody else has the spine it takes to go against this tyrant like Gavin Newsom does. You're going to hear that a lot, which is exactly what you heard right there. That's going to be from the DNC. The DNC is going to try to market Gavin Newsom. They already tried to pull him a little bit away from the left. So he's kind of going to be marketed as this pragmatic and progressive middle person. He's not going to be left around. He's going to be kind of like in between a little bit. He's not as liberal. Okay, he's going to be a little bit in between. He's not going to go too far, but he's going to have the balls it takes to stand up to Trump. He's going to go at Trump. That's how they're going to market him. Okay. And what they're going to start doing is they're going to be all like, man, Donald Trump is taking over the world. This is a dictatorship. This is fascism. There's nothing anybody can do. We need someone to stand up. That's what the party needs. Gavin is our only hope. They're going to make Gavin Newsom seem like he's Superman. I'm letting you guys know that right now. I'm already letting you all know that. This is what they're doing. Gavin Newsom hasn't announced yet. But Gavin Newsom, they're saying that Gavin Newsom is a brave man. They're saying that Gavin Newsom can do it. Can he do it? I think he can. That's what they're going to do. Let's listen to the rest.
Annie, you made an important observation about 2028. Nothing's been announced, but unless the Democratic National Committee changes its rules, South Carolina first in line in the nominating contest for 2028. So it seems that it's possible, very possible, that Gavin Newsom is trying to lay the groundwork at least for something there.
It definitely felt that way on the ground tonight or this evening. You know, Governor Newsom was really mingling around the room. He spoke to, I think, pretty much everyone that was in attendance. His speech was about 16 minutes long, but he really made sure that he was making an impression on voters here in Mobile County, a county that went for former Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election.
Annie Bryson traveling in South Carolina.
Okay, all of this Gavin Newsom, and all of this stuff. Like I said, they're gonna start making videos and all of this stuff on Gavin Newsom, and they're gonna start speaking. Man, if Gavin Newsom ran, he would have a really good chance. Gavin Newsom would have a really good chance of winning. I want y'all to look at your screen. Everybody, look at your screen. Now look at this. Okay, this is stuff that they're doing. They're gassing Gavin Newsom up. This came out yesterday, and I've been following this whole thing. All of the hype around Gavin Newsom, all of a sudden, they're trying to prime the pump. So we got to be ready. We got to stay ahead of the curve. Gavin Newsom's polling surges, reaches major milestone. Oh my God, Gavin Newsom's coming to save the day. Gavin Newsom's polling surge has reached a major milestone. Now he is tied with Kamala Harris in the race to win the 2028 Democratic primary. Oh no, it says according to the nonpartisan group, really nonpartisan, are you sure? Nonpartisan group, political polls analysis of polling averages, the California governor is now tied with the former vice president in 2024 presidential candidate in a hypothetical, I was about to say hypocritical, it is hypocritical, hypothetical matchup. Oh, it seems like Gavin Newsom, they're saying that Gavin Newsom, he has it. The polling is in Gavin Newsom's favor, guys. The polling is in his favor. We ain't got to go over there. Listen. They said the same exact thing about Kamala Harris. They said the same thing. This is the same exact thing they were saying. There was a bunch of articles. There was a bunch of people all like, oh my God, the polls, she has no chance of losing. Oh, why can't we have the election right now? It's a lot of artificial hype for Gavin Newsom. It's going to be a lot of artificial hype, family. So I want us to all be aware of this. All right. This is not what it is. Okay. Ain't nobody hyped up about no Gavin Newsom like that. Gavin Newsom does not deserve none of this hype. Okay, we're not doing that. Okay, now Kamala right now is, if y'all didn't know, Kamala got some type of book out, or she's launching some type of book, and she's saying that she's not gonna run again. But right now, they're still keeping Kamala on the back burner. Okay, the DNC really doesn't have the option to even cast her out like that, but she's really on the back burner right now. So just keep in mind that they might float her name out there again, just to see if the community has kind of forgotten the fact that she said no to reparations, the same way they're trying to do with Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom also said no to reparations. All right, but there's a lot of talk about the next person who's going to be in charge. They're already saying stuff. They're already floating some names out there kind of to test the water. Let me pull this up. Let me pull these things up. And then we already played the copyright thing. Let me pull all this stuff up. All right, look at this.
Show you know that the calendar may say 2025, but it is a busy month in the 2028 presidential shadow primary. You're never not worrying about the presidential race. California Governor Gavin Newsom wrapped up a rural outreach tour a long way from home in South Carolina earlier this week. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and Congressman Ro Khanna of California will be making trips to the Palmetto State, which I think hosts an early primary there for the presidential race. Other early primary states, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar will be making her second trip to New Hampshire in as many months tomorrow. And Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego teased an August trip to the Iowa State Fair. Will Iowa even be relevant? Joining me now with more is Amy Walter, the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Cook Political Report, who's always thinking about the presidential election. We're lucky to have you here, Amy. So it seems like the shadow primary already kicking into gears. Yes. Anybody kind of standing out right now?
I think that the governors are trying to get themselves into position right now where they look like the front runners. Obviously, Gavin Newsom going to South Carolina, but he has been out front for months now, trying to position himself as the national sort of voice for Democrats. J.B. Pritzker, from the governor of Illinois, announced he's running for a third term, but in his announcement, He talked a lot about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about Illinois, too, but he also talked a lot about Donald Trump. So I think those folks are positioning themselves. Pete Buttigieg has also been availing himself of many national platforms, especially those podcasts. But, Ryan, you know as well as anybody, what matters more than anything is how voters are feeling as we get into 2027, more than how they're feeling in 25. What I'm watching for is not where they are going, but where candidates who are up in 25 and 26, the Democratic candidates up in 2025 and 26, who are they asking to come and stump with them? Are they going to bring some of these high-profile governors? Are they going to bring AOC and Bernie Sanders to campaign for them in the swing states where we know the race for control of Congress will be won and lost?
There was a fundraising number that really caught my eye, and I honestly kind of not thought about Cory Booker in the vein as a presidential candidate. That kind of changed when he gave that long speech on the House, on the Senate floor, and now he posts a major fundraising number. Should he be part of this conversation?
I'm sure everybody in the United States Senate who's a Democrat should be part of this conversation. I mean, this is a deep pool. And in a large reason that we have such a deep pool, right, it's because 2024 should have actually been the time where a lot of these candidates got an opportunity to
Look, listen to me. Corny Booker, he ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't even need to say Corny Booker's name. This dude is not going nowhere. And let me tell you, this is when he did the whole thing where he broke the record for the longest filibuster and all of that stuff. That's to get his name in the headlines. All of that is a publicity stunt. That's what they do. That's what the Democrats do. They don't care about their constituents. They do all of this super dramatic, over the top, unnecessary, unbeneficial stunts where they're getting kicked out of the chambers and they're filibustering and they're hooping and hollering and screaming and yelling and crying and getting arrested. All of that stuff is a publicity stunt. So you can have fake talk shows where they're acting like this is a political dialogue to be all like, oh my God, he's so brave. And I think that he would make a great leader. I think if we elect him, he has what it takes. He has the stand-up power to what it takes to battle the Democratic Party, to battle for the Democratic Party. He also does have the background. Okay, he knows criticism and all of these things. And I mean, he hasn't made an announcement yet, but it's a chance. He should be a contender. Look, stop. No, absolutely not. Corny Booker is out here now because according to to be the president, people want a family man to be the president. And the thing is that to be the president, they want a family. They want a heterosexual family. Okay, that's what people want. People want you to, have kids and all of that good stuff and stuff like that. And Cory Booker has been kind of single for a minute, and a lot of people got a lot of rumors about Cory Booker. And it seems as if every time, and this isn't the first time, every time Corny Booker, every time he tries to make an announcement, every time he tries to climb the political ladder, he has to come out with a woman to kind of debunk all of the down low rumors that he got going on, because everybody's got the rumors going on that Cory Booker, he liked to play for the other team or the same team, really. So Cory Booker is out here. He proposed to his girlfriend. You can just look at the pictures right now. So you can already tell Corny is trying. He's trying. So he's out there. He did a damn photo op with some paid girl, some paid escort that he's pretending to be his girlfriend. Look at you can already tell this is just not no. And he's all laughing and stuff like that. Look at they fake smiles. What are they laughing so hard about? Lord have mercy. Okay. They need a beard. He needs a beard in order for him to climb the political ladder. But and he does this every single time he tries to climb. He comes out with some girlfriend. Okay. And if he doesn't make it, the girlfriend just magically goes away. And then if he tries to climb again, if he tries to make another run for it, he tries to shoot again, another woman comes out, and then that other woman, they're madly in love and they're about to get married. They never get married, but they're always about to get married. Anytime Cory Booker needs to climb the political ladder, he comes out with a new fiance. Okay, dude. All right, man. I got it. Live your life, dude. Come on, dude. Don't be faking out here because you're not selling nobody or nothing. We're not buying that. We're not buying that. Stop that. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Lord. So yeah, should Cory Booker? I mean, Cory Booker, he's been making waves. That's what they say. Cory Booker has been making waves. He's been making headlines. He's been pushing the needle. I don't know. Should he be a contender? No.
Show their stuff to a broader electorate. There is pent-up demand from Democratic candidates and voters to go out there and sell a vision of who the Democratic Party is and what it wants to do going forward.
And do you think it's going to be a question about the vision, or is it going to be about the personality of these candidates? Because right now it seems the Democrats are struggling with both, trying to find a message that resonates along with the messenger that can best sell that message.
Well, that's true. I think at this point, though, the vision thing, as I think it was George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush was credited with saying, it becomes super, super important because I remember going into the 2020 campaign, what Democratic voters were the most concerned about was beating Donald Trump. That was priority number one. So the vision and the issues and even the personality didn't matter as much as who was the most winnable. By now, I think it's pretty clear that what Democratic voters are upset about is they don't really know who the Democratic Party is and what it stands for.
So I remember flying out of Iowa in 2020, covering the Bernie Sanders campaign after they had bungled that mess there, thinking Democrats will never come back here to start their presidential campaign. But maybe they will. Quickly, what's happening there?
Here's what's going to matter. Do Democrats do well in the midterm elections in Iowa? They've got a Senate race. There's a gubernatorial race that's competitive and a number of House races. If they do well, Democrats, that is, you're going to have a lot of Democrats saying, maybe we should put Iowa back on the map.
Okay, so the whole thing about putting states back on the map, that's not, all of that stuff is not going to matter. That stuff is really going to be irrelevant for the most part. Is really going to be irrelevant because the thing is that you guys need to have an agenda that aligns with your biggest constituency. The Democratic Party does not have an agenda that aligns with their biggest constituency right now. There is ICE. Trump he's doing what he's doing as far as ICE is concerned, as far as the National Guard. Whether that's going to Los Angeles using the National Guard in LA, whether you're using the National Guard in DC, or even whether you're using the National Guard in Chicago. Okay. So that's what Trump is doing. And they keep trying to frame this as an attack on black people. That's what they're consistently trying to frame this attack as, an attack on, quote unquote, the black community. So they're using governors or mayors rather, they're using mayors who are not foundational black American, but they're saying, oh, he's sending them to mayors who are black women mayors. This is racism. And it's not racism against black people. This is an attack on illegal immigrants, but they're framing it as this is some type of attack on the black community. Let me show you guys this. So Gavin Newsom, believe it or not, Gavin Newsom thinks he's young and Gavin Newsom thinks he's hip now. So Gavin Newsom has a podcast where he talks about, different political issues and things like that. And Gavin Newsom bought out none other than everybody's favorite homegirl of the DNC, everybody's favorite homegirl of the Democrats. Oh boy, Jasmine Crockett. So him and Jasmine Crockett were having a conversation. This is one of the clips we got to discuss. They were having a conversation about, what Trump is doing and stuff like that. And I want us to hear it so we can break this down and we can listen to it. Let's go.
Going into the areas that were predominantly people of color.
Hold on. Let me take it back a couple minutes. But before we do that, y'all, did y'all hit that like button yet? Did y'all hit that like button yet? If you didn't, now's your chance. Okay. Please and thank you. All right, let's go.
And taking over. And to me, it goes again to the level of racism and hate that is constantly spewed out of this administration. Now, they hate for you to call them what they are, but listen, I mean, if it walked like,
I'm gonna take it
because I used to watch like The Handmaid's Tale, and I can't. Right, I never finished, and I can't watch it because it is too close to reality. And so what we're seeing is this militarization, and obviously it started in your state. That was kind of the testing grounds. Going to your state, going to a Black woman mayor's city first. And now we are in yet another Black woman.
No, we're not. Nope. Okay, because what Jasmine is sitting up there talking about is the mayor of Los Angeles, okay? Karen Bass. Now, remember, Karen Bass is not FBA. Karen Bass is not FBA, and Karen Bass's agenda is not FBA, okay? Karen Bass was out there talking about how she's going to give direct cash payments to illegals for quote unquote the hardship or the struggle of them being deported. Okay, so that's what Karen Bass is on. That's the type of time Karen Bass is on. Oh, now you got a whole bunch of Black people in LA who don't get no direct cash payments from the government, but she's giving direct cash payments from the government to a bunch of illegals because she sees them as fellow Latinos. All right, let's be clear with those. She sees them as fellow Latinos. She's got a Latino husband, Latino children, Latino background, and now she's gonna be like, oh well, yeah, she's attacking a Black woman, and this is racism against Black. Nope. You're not gonna use Black in this situation. Nope, don't do that, because the quote unquote Black woman that you're speaking of, which was Karen Bass in this situation, her allegiance is to Latinos. So don't try to use the Black thing. Say Latino, because that's where her allegiance is. Say Latino. Don't do that. And this is what the DNC is going to do. And this is why they put these people in charge, because they like to put figureheads, all of them, Karen Bass, Brandon Johnson, all of these people, they're figureheads. All of these Black quote unquote mayors, whether they're FBA or non-FBA, are figureheads. So that way, when things happen to the city, they can be like, oh my God, do you see the anti-Blackness in ICE's deportation? This is a Black ran city, even though most of the people being deported, all of these people are Hispanics, not even non-Black Hispanics. These are white Hispanics being deported, but they're framing it as this is an attack on Black people because the mayor is Black. So no, we're not doing that. Okay.
Led city and taking over. And to me, it goes again to the level of racism and hate that is constantly spewed out of this administration. Now, they hate for you to call them what they are, but listen, I mean, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, then I guess it is a duck. So like racism is racism, and you are specifically targeting these Black-led areas. But more importantly,
no, don't do that. Now she's trying to, yeah, you're specifically targeting the Black-led areas. Jasmine does this all of the time. Anytime Jasmine wants to defend the immigrant community, it's always shielded and covered with, this is about Black people, the Black community. That's what she tries to do all of the time. All right. So she's trying to say, well, yeah, these are Black-led, quote unquote, cities. Yeah, but these cities, and the reason why these cities have the National Guard, the reason why these cities are being invaded with ICE and having ICE come in there and take the illegals out is because there are Hispanics in there. All right. These are a bunch of Latinos who identify as white, mind you. Okay. These Latinos identify as white. These are not no Black Latinos or Afro Latinos. These are white identifying Latinos that are coming into these cities and that are getting a bunch of free resources, our resources, my resources, your resources. This is what they're doing. And then anytime ICE comes to get them, it's like, oh my God, you're attacking the Black-led city. Nope. No. Because foundational Black Americans are not being under siege, or not being put under siege, or at least under siege any more than we always are, because we're always under siege. All right. but we're not put into anything extra that we are not always going through. The National Guard, the ICE raids and all of that stuff, that's not affecting us as foundational Black Americans. As a matter of a fact, that's actually benefiting, because these illegals coming in here are a detriment to the community. It is point blank, period. It absolutely is. It's a detriment to the community. And she's trying to frame it as if this is racism, and everything that Trump is doing that's not affecting us is racism, so she can kind of rile us up. All right. And that's why the DNC, that's why the party likes to have Black figureheads. So the Black figureheads can do the bidding of the DNC. And then when they get attacked, or when there's scrutiny, it's, oh man, y'all doing this to a Black man, y'all doing this to a Black woman, how y'all gonna do this to a Black woman? Now, this is why the DNC is constantly having Black people. Notice, I want y'all to notice, the DNC only has crash outs Black. They like to pick the Black crash outs. You don't see no white person out there laying on the floor, sleeping on the ground, and getting arrested and standing shoulder to shoulder and breaking up ICE and all of that stuff. You don't see white Democrats doing that at all. You don't see that. They'll have the Black Democrats be the damn crash dummies, being kicked out of chambers and filibustering and making a fool out of themselves and putting on a minstrel show for the benefit of the party. And then when somebody says, okay, that's embarrassing, that's ridiculous, that needs to stop, they turn around like, oh, well, that's anti-Black. You only saying that because that's a Black woman. No. Y'all literally willing to go to jail. Y'all white peers don't go to jail. You don't see no white peers going to jail, but they do that. These crash dummies, that's what they are. Yeah, exactly. Somebody else pulling fire alarms and doing all of this ridiculous, over-the-top, dramatic stuff for the benefit of the party. That's what they do. It's ridiculous. It absolutely is. They be out there cursing and storming. Oh, come on now.
When you start to connect the dots, one of the things that we didn't talk about as much when we were trying to push forward against the draconian legislation that was coming out of the state of Texas at the time, back in 2021, was there was this provision about having basically people be able to monitor you while you were voting. And there was like recordings that came out where these like groups had gotten together and they're like, we're going to go down there. And they were talking about going into the areas that were predominantly people of color and monitoring them while they were voting. And they were limiting the ability of the election judges and the election workers to actually remove those people, even if they were interfering with someone's ability to vote. So it was like, nope, you got to give them one pass so they could break one law for free. And then
okay, notice how she frames that, people of color. Okay, very important. She framed it as people of color because these are certain rules and regulations that they're trying to put on, in particular, Latinos. Okay, and they're doing that because a lot of these people don't have the paperwork and the citizenship to vote in national elections. And this is a thing that the Democratic Party has been trying to push for the longest time. So they're trying to push for a bunch of Latinos to be able to vote in national elections. So that's why all of this, we got to advance voter rights and we got to do this for voter rights and we don't need voter IDs and you don't want to have a state ID. All of this is for undocumented illegal immigrants to come here and vote. That's why she's saying people of color, because Black people don't have this problem. Okay. They're looking over the shoulder where she's being dramatic. They're not sitting up there looking over your shoulder like, who are you voting for, sir? Hold on. Let me see that. They're not doing that. That's not what's going on. What they're doing is they're going to be doing some background checks into checking to make sure that you're even eligible to vote, which would essentially be prove that you're a citizen, have an ID and all of this good stuff, things that Black Americans already have. Okay, whether you're registered to vote or not registered to vote, you have proof of citizenship. You have proof that you're an American. You have that proof. And even if you're not registered to vote, it's a very simple 1-2 step to get registered to vote. It's these illegals that they're trying to sneak into the ballot boxes and start putting their votes in for the Democrats. And then now you're seeing the Republicans kind of get a little bit more stricter, especially when it comes to a lot of the mail-in ballots. Now, if you guys remember, the mail-in ballots is what really caused Biden to win. Think about that. The Biden-Harris administration won based off of mail-in ballots. Because if you guys remember that race in 2020, Biden was losing terribly. The votes were coming in for Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden, now the votes took some days, but all of a sudden there was just wave of mail-in ballots that just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. And of course, we're not spreading no conspiracies, but we're just saying what happened. There was this wave of mail-in ballots that was only for Biden that came out all of a sudden. Okay. Now, all right then. So they needed that. There was a big wave. Okay. Now, Biden probably, and that's why they're saying that Biden won more votes than anybody else. I think, to be honest, that there were a lot of legitimate mail-in ballots because we were dealing with the pandemic at the time, but there was a lot of extra ones. And they feel like, okay, well, we kind of need that extra boost this time around. So they want a lot of little voter tricks and stuff like that they were doing. All right. We even saw that with the last election where people were going in, they were pressing a button and the button wasn't clicking for the other person. It was only clicking for Kamala. So they do a little janky stuff. There was also mail ballots and stuff like that was set on fire, and both parties try to rig. I'm not trying to say it's only the Democratic Party. I'm not trying to say that, but both parties try to rig elections. It's what happens. You feel me? It's what happens. All right. So we got to pay attention to that. But all of this stuff about, they're going to be watching over you and all that stuff, that's for Latinos.
You could only get them out when they committed the second violation. And at the same time, they were changing access to firearms. And so essentially in these locations, you could have all these rogue actors that are armed as people of color are trying to go in and cast their votes. If nothing looks like pre-Civil War in this country, that does, like that imagery, right? So now you have someone who believes in this type of philosophy, who now has control of our National Guard. And so, the idea that we thought January 6th was a problem and we thought, oh man, that's bad. And, his army then was a bunch of white nationalist races, whether we're talking about the Proud Boys or the neo-Nazis or whomever, those guys were the ones that made up his army on that day to try to pull a coup. Now you're talking about a guy that every time he disagrees with something, he uses the power that he has because no one around him is checking him, whether we're talking about those in his administration or whether we're talking about the courts or if we're talking about the Congress. That is one of the reasons he is so desperate to make sure that he can win in the midterms, is because he knows that Democrats, it's not even about partisanship. It's about doing what's right. It's about doing the American thing. And to be clear, you can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots, and it is time.
You're the real patriots. Now, that was very interesting that they try to frame that as the real patriots because y'all don't believe in reparations or anything like that. But we just gotta, come on now, we gotta pull some things up because Jasmine, since you want to talk about being a real patriot, I just got a question. Okay, let's I just got a couple of questions for you, Jasmine, because this was you talking about you're the real patriot. This was Jasmine.
Absolutely right.
Okay, same Jasmine Crockett on the Breakfast Club.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, Canada has really been the one to call it out. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild. But they are really the ones.
The fact that you're rooting for Canada. Now, this is during the time when there was a whole bunch of debate about the tariffs and things like that. Jasmine, you're rooting for Canada. She openly admitted that she's rooting for Canada. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is wild. Okay. So what's in your best interest is not what's in the best interest of the American people. What's in your best interest is things going away from black people. What's in your best interest is what's in the best interest of the DNC, the Democratic Party. Okay. You would root for Canada and Mexico over America as long as that meant that you get to one up Trump. You'd rather Canada and Mexico win a turf war if that meant winning up or running up Trump. Okay, getting one up on Trump. Okay, let's come on now. Don't all of that patriotic stuff. Stop.
The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild. But they are.
Yeah. No, not gonna do that. We got some more stuff we got to talk about, but before we do that, let's get to Chris. Chris the Rebel, my brother. He says, Newsom and more, and we're gonna have to talk about Wes Moore because Wes Moore's trying to rebrand. He's trying to come back and do some splaining. So Wes Moore's been doing a little bit of splaining lately, but we're gonna talk about Moore in a little bit. Newsom and Moore will not be winning. They both crashed out reparations. The Dems should know we want our check like the migrants or no vote. They should know that, and they're going to learn that the hard way. Thank you very much. The only way the Dems can win is cut the check. That's the only way. And they're talking about everything and everything else except that. And okay, I guess they don't want to win that badly, and that's fine. They don't have to win. Trust me, I'm not going to lose no sleep over them not winning. I can guarantee you that. I'm not going to lose any sleep over them not winning. All right. Now, they bought on, Gavin Newsom had another podcast episode where he bought on the ex-head of the DNC, Jamie Harrison. Now, remember, Jamie Harrison was one of the ones saying that the DNC should keep their focus on South Carolina. And this is what the brand is going to go. This is what they're saying. Right? Let's pull this back up. Hold on. Pull that right back up. Now listen to this, y'all.
Healthcare, equality for all. I think those are our values are mainstream values as it relates to that. I think the disconnect is that people are not always associating those issues with us or our candidates, right? And I think that's part of the party brand. I think what you have been hitting on and what you have done so well on is to show that, because what people are looking for, they're looking for somebody who's going to fight for them. They're looking.
Now, remember what I told you guys before. There's going to be a lot of people in the DNC who's going to gas up Gavin Newsom. It's going to be, oh, thank you so much for having the steel and the bravery and the courage needed to fight for the Democratic Party. So thank you, Gavin. Thank you. Oh, my God. So listen, you're going to hear that a lot. Okay.
Looking for somebody who's going to fight for them and their family and their community. Somebody who is not scared to roll up their sleeves and get a little dirty, right? Somebody who is not afraid to give as good as we get, right? And this is part of the brand issue, particularly, and I saw it with, people say, well, you didn't see the black men and the Latino men. I've been ringing that damn bell for four years.
Now, notice he adds Latino in there too. You didn't see the black men and the Latino men. No, it's not about no Latino man. Okay. It's not about them. They're not the ones who are in control of the swing states that you all need to win things. They're not. But here you go, adding them into a thing because y'all don't want to focus on your main constituents. But it's all right. Okay, y'all just are very hard-headed and don't learn nothing.
4+ years. Because
now, mind you, he was the ex-head of the DNC, so you can already tell this was the person who was in charge, quote unquote, of the DNC. And when it comes to black issues, now he has to add Latinos in there. So this is why we have this problem with the DNC.
I went to barbershops as I crisscrossed this country, and I sat down with Latino men in Florida or black men in Milwaukee. Like, the things that they don't like about our party right now is they see us as soft. They see us as weak. They see us as not standing up. And they, even though they disagree with Donald Trump on the issues, they see him as strong in that sense, willing to fight and to roll up his sleeves. And I've been saying this for now 4 years, and you can talk to some of my staff and they'll be like, yep, the chair's been talking about that. But Governor, that is what we have to change. Nobody is going to give you their vote if they think you are just going to lay over and allow somebody to run over you anytime. They'd rather just stay home, right? They'd rather not. And it wasn't so much that people were going out and voting for Trump. Sometimes they just like, shit, I'm not going to vote for either one of you because I don't like where Trump is. Like, he's an ass and y'all are weak as hell. So why?
Okay. Very important that you said this. Very important. I want us to follow, and I want us to understand foundational Black American family. I want you to listen to me and listen to me very well. We have always been on the right page. We got a lot of criticism and a lot of stuff about voting for the couch. A lot of people was all like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Don't vote for the couch. That we got a lot of flack for that. Now they're finally starting to admit that the couch won. They're slowly starting to admit that, like, yeah, I'll just stay home. I just won't vote. I just did. They're finally starting to admit that. But they're trying to reframe voting for the couch. Listen, they're trying to reframe that. They're trying to say, well, we were always right on the issues, but people voted for the couch because they see us as soft. They're reframing this as a straw man argument. They're saying that people sat on the couch and didn't vote for the Democrats because we view the Democrats as quote unquote not being strong enough to push for the issues and to solve the problems. And that's not it. That's not it. We gave the Democratic Party a list of demands that the Democratic Party ignored. And because the Democratic Party ignored those demands, that's why people voted the way they did, which was for the couch. That's why people voted for the couch. It was not because the people who voted for the couch didn't vote for the couch because, man, I really want to vote for the Democrats, but you guys just seem too soft. You guys just seem like you're pushovers, and there's just no point in doing that. No. They're trying to frame it as if they were right on the issues, but they just aren't strong enough. They just don't have a backbone. They're trying to reframe the issue so that way they can rebrand the way they want to rebrand. So they're not going to solve the issues. They're not going to change their stances on their policy, on their legislation, on the issues. They're just going to be more aggressive about it. That's what they're trying to say. Well, really, we were right the whole time. We just need to be a little bit more aggressive. No, that's not it. The reason why people voted the way they did, the reason why people didn't vote, rather, is because people do not agree with the direction of the Democratic Party. That's the reason. People don't agree with what the Democratic Party got going on, where they're headed, the way that they ignore Black people, okay? The Democratic policies is what people have an issue with, not the fact that they're not aggressive enough when it comes to the Congress and legislation. No, but they're trying to brand it that way. So that way they can just make a more aggressive Democratic candidate and say, he's the one we need. He's aggressive and he's strong and he doesn't back down and he pushes the party agenda, which most people already agree with. That's not the case. All right.
Why am I going to stand up and vote for you? Right. We got to get out of this academic cerebral thing that we get into in our party and understand that most people, when they go vote, they are not thinking, what is the policy? I didn't read the policy paper from the Democratic Party or the Republican. People don't give a shit about that. Yeah. It's about people vote with this and this. It is the heart and the gut, right? It is, do I feel like you actually have heart enough to fight? Do I feel in gut that I trust you to fight, right? It is not, I'm doing this policy analysis and this chart to see which one is the best one and which is rational and all that. No, average people aren't doing that. And so what we have to do.
This is the problem with the Democratic Party, okay? This is the problem with the Democratic Party. Democrats think that everybody is dumb. That's their problem. They think that they're the smartest people in the room. They think that they're the only people in the room who think about that stuff. They think the average person, the average voter, even though they might not, politics might not be their day-to-day conversation, they think that the average voter is completely ignorant to policy and to politics. They think that the average voter is stupid and just looks for somebody who has a nice smile and who somebody who can speak well. Okay, that's who they think. Well, the average person doesn't care about policy. Yeah, that's the dumb decision and the dumb thinking that caused y'all to lose so badly. Because your policies suck. And you don't want to change your policy, so you're trying to tell yourself in this echo chamber that the average person doesn't care about your policy. The average person knows about your policy, and they do. The average person who goes to the polls, they do policy comparisons. You guys are stuck thinking that you guys just need somebody who is very charismatic and looks good on camera. No, it's about the policy. People care about the policy. People care about immigration. People care about the economy. That's what people care about. People care about money in their pockets. The average person, they don't really care about that. They just want somebody strong and somebody who has a nice smile and hugs children. Okay, all right. That's the dumb things that you guys were saying last time. Okay, y'all thinking that policy doesn't matter. All right, I guess y'all just don't want to win an election again. I guess. I mean, it's no sweat off my back, but all right, okay.
As the party is to find our spine again and to fight for folks. So you pushing back against Donald Trump, that is a demonstration to so many people, like on this redistricting, like, hell, if you're going to go this way, I'm going this way. If you want this to be a street fight, well, damn it, I'm going to pick up my shoe, a brick, or whatever I have to do, because I'm going to street fight. This is going to be a street fight. And yeah, I might get my ass kicked, but guess what? People are going to look at you and say, well, you got yours kicked too, right? Like we got to get into that, because that's what people want right now. And I think when we give people that, man, we're going to blow out all of these elections, because we're right on the issues. We just got to be tough enough to fight for them.
No. See, and this is the dumb. Listen, y'all, the Democratic Party is not changing, okay? Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep saying that they were correct on the issues. We're right on the issues. We just got to be tough enough to fight for them. No, you guys have been strong and stubborn in fighting for your issues. The problem is the fact that the American people is against your issues. The American people is against your direction. He's trying to frame it like, yeah, we've been heading in the right direction the whole time. We just need to keep pushing a little bit harder. No, you've been heading in the wrong direction. And this is what the American people, in particular, foundational Black Americans, have been telling you all. Y'all heading in the wrong direction. People do not like the direction of the Democratic Party. People do not like the direction that you guys are going with. People don't like immigration, the way the Democrats handled immigration. People don't like the way the Democrats handled the economy. People don't like the way the Democrats handled these things. Yet this dude is up here talking about, well, you know what? We were pretty much right the whole time. We were right the entire time. We just need to be a little bit stronger on the issues. No. Okay. Y'all can listen to that if y'all want to, and try to reframe why y'all lost as, quote unquote, not being aggressive and being too diplomatic, but that's not the reason. And you guys keep framing it as the reason, and we're going to keep exposing the fact that that was a lie.
I love it. And it just, by the way, just full disclosure, could not agree with you more. I mean, this notion of weakness goes to trust, goes to character, goes to our conviction. It's foundational, and you remember the old, I thought Bill Clinton summed it up beautifully when we got shellacked in one of those midterm elections. I can't remember which one. He said, given the choice, the American people always support strong and wrong versus weak and right.
Yes.
And this notion.
But the thing is that you all are not right. They keep framing this like, man, we just needed to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more gritty, a little bit tougher, a little bit meaner. That's what we needed to do. That's the reason people like Donald Trump. So that's the reason why we lost. If we just was a little bit, grittier, if we just cuss, no, that's not why. You guys were not right. That's the thing. It doesn't matter how much you guys start cursing all of a sudden. It doesn't matter how much you guys start hooping and hollering and screaming and filibustering. You guys are not right. People don't agree with the policies. People don't like the fact that, in particular, foundational Black Americans, because that's the only people you guys really need to be worried about. Foundational Black Americans, we're not approving of the way you guys handled the country, handled our resources, shipping them overseas, giving them to a bunch of illegals, opening the border, letting them flood into our communities while denying our reparations. Gavin Newsom got a lot of nerve to sit up here and talk about how he was right. He was right the whole time. Gavin Newsom ain't been right at all. Gavin Newsom was one of the people, okay, who really tipped the spear and let people know to kill the reparations bill. Do you guys remember this?
You need to bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Now, listen, they gonna see this and they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills, then they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Okay? We don't care.
We need to
bring the goddamn bills up now.
The governor needs to understand that the world is watching California, and this is going to have a direct impact on your friend Kamala Harris, who's running for president. This is going to have a direct impact. So pull up the bills now, vote on them, and sign them.
We have
We've been waiting for over 400 years.
And the reason, we all know the reason why the Black Caucus in California didn't do it, mostly tethers, by the way. A lot of them are tethers. Let's be honest. A lot of them are tethers. They did it because Gavin Newsom did not want to sign any legislation for reparations, for cash payment reparations. He didn't. And Gavin he didn't want to take the fall for it. So he just had the word put out for the Black Caucus to sit up there and kill the bill. So they killed the bill, but they killed the bill because Gavin Newsom didn't want the bill to go to his desk, because then he would have to veto the bill and then the blame would be put on him. He didn't want the blame to be put on him. So he thought we didn't know. He sent the word out for them to kill the bill. The problem he has is that we remember and we know that it was Gavin Newsom who set the order out not to have the Democratic or the Black Caucus vote for the bill, so he would have to veto it. He didn't want to have to veto it. All right. So this is why they did what they did.
Yeah, no reparation, no vote. If you don't give us no reparation, you ain't getting no vote. Y'all gave the legal. Y'all gave a free healthcare with no pushback.
Give us the vote! 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 Give us the vote!
Oh, that's very interesting. So can we go back to talking about how they were right on the issues? Yeah, let's bring up Jamie Harrison to talk about how the Democratic Party is correct on the issues, but they just need to stand firm. They just need to be more aggressive. They just need to be a little bit grittier and willing to roll up their sleeves and get down in the mud. That's what they need to do. How are the Democrats right in this instance? Because it seems like, as far as reparations are concerned, the Democrats are very firm and unapologetic when it comes to saying no for reparations. Okay. They make it abundantly clear and they stand on the fact that they are saying no as far as reparations. So it's not that the Democratic Party is too soft. No, they're very clear with their direction, but their direction is the wrong direction. And it doesn't matter how much y'all try to reframe the situation. We all know what Gavin Newsom did. Gavin Newsom was the reason why the Congressional Black Tether Caucus, because there were a bunch of tethers, most of them are tethers, the Tether Caucus decided to kill the reparations bill. Although they signed everything for a bunch of illegals, but they decided to sit on the reparations bill and not vote on that so it doesn't go to Gavin Newsom's desk. So Gavin Newsom doesn't have to veto it, because Gavin Newsom, he wanted to have the chance of running for president. And he doesn't want to give reparations, but he knows that vetoing reparations would have completely destroyed his chances in the black community. His problem, Gavin Newsom's issue, is that we knew he sent the word out. So we knew that, yeah, the Black Caucus, the Tether Caucus, is to blame, but they're to blame because they're under Gavin Newsom's leadership and authority. So we're putting the blame really where the blame belongs, and that's Gavin Newsom. But going into somebody else who also vetoed reparations or a study for reparations, we got to talk about Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. Wes Moore is out there and he's trying to do some splaining to clean his name up because, you know, he might have higher political aspirations. He might want to take a seat, even if it's not the president. They might pick him to be the vice president. So right now, the DNC is going out of their way to kind of clean his name up a little bit. That's what they're trying to do with Wes Moore. So Wes Moore was sitting up there chilling and talking to a tether, and we already know this tether is anti-reparations. Oh boy, here we go. Y'all brace yourselves for this one. Okay. Oh. So Wes Moore was out there pulling this up, talking to Joy Reid. So Wes Moore was on a podcast episode, The Joy Reid Show. So Joy Reid, and what did I tell you guys? I did not tell you guys that Joy Reid was going to start her own podcast. Let me pull that clip up. I want to pull that clip up because my predictions be spot on. I'll be telling you guys, I know what I'm talking about. My predictions were spot on. I told you guys that Joy Reid was going to run out there and start her own podcast. I've been said that, okay? I said that, okay? The people that you give platforms to, which, let's be honest, it's not likely that Joy Reid is going to keep that platform. It's very not likely. It's very likely that she's going to get demoted. They're not going to sign her contract again or whatever the case is. If they did it to Don Lemon and they did it to other folks, they can do it to her and have her replaced with somebody who makes a little bit more sense than what she's making. And then she's going to go and maybe start a podcast or whoever or whatever. I knew she was going to start I knew she was going to start a podcast. I knew it. That's the same way Don Lemon went. They got fired from the big networks. I know this stuff. I pay attention, y'all. I already knew. I knew she was going to start a podcast. I already know. So if she's still, you know, towing the line for the DNC. She's still trying to toe the line for the DNC a little bit. The same way Roland Martin be towing the line for the DNC. And all of these former DNC big heads or whatever the case is, the people who are on these corporations, because they want their corporate job back at the end of the day. They do. They would jump at the chance to get another position, get another show on MSNBC, get another show on CNN or whatever the case is. So they're still trying to toe the line to show that they play ball, which is what Joy Reid is doing. She's still trying to show that she plays ball. I already told you that. I knew it. I knew she was going to do that. So she brings on the governor of Maryland, Mess Moore, to talk about the situation, to talk about what's going on with Maryland, and then look at what they have to say, because we got to break this down. Now he's out here trying to do some splaining on reparations.
In Maryland. I think you preserve it by making sure that you pass laws that can do that. I mean, I think it's one of the most powerful things about being a governor right now, is that governors, we don't just have to rail against what's going on. We can actually show what the alternative looks like. And so, for example, as you know, as Donald Trump came on board, and you know, they were talking about how they want to, you know, ban books and ban histories and ban stories. Well, in Maryland, I signed legislation that actually bans the banning of books. You can't ban books in the state of Maryland because governors do have a unique role right now inside this moment to show what the alternative looks like. And especially because we know the garbage that they're talking about why they're
It's a little low. I'm not sure why it's a little low. I could put this on. That's the best. I just not low. I don't, or it's not low on my end. There's nothing I can do. YouTube has it low for whatever reason.
doing this is so transparently foolish. This idea that we're doing it because we do not want to make people feel bad. We're doing it because we are trying to attack a woke ideology. The reason they are trying to ban history is not because they do not want people to feel bad. The reason they are banning history is because they don't want people to understand their power. Because when you know your history, you know your power. The reason I walk into every room I walk into with my head high is because I know where I came from, right? I know my legacy. I know my history. And I know
Oh boy. Okay, so just y'all hold on. Let's brace ourselves. Let's brace ourselves a little bit. Okay, hold on. Let me see something. What the hell? Okay. This thing is tripping a little bit, but it's okay. It's fine. Hold on. I'm gonna fix that up a little bit. Just give me 1 second, one quick second. Actually, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take this. I don't know why it went, because the other things didn't play low, but there's always like some type of weird little audio thing when it comes to that. So what we're gonna try to reset the browser. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Okay, come on, it's coming up. Hold on. Okay, something's going on with the reception all of a sudden. Suppose it is supposed to be like around here. It's probably the weather or something like that messing up. My reception bars just popped all of a sudden. And now I'm clicking stuff and it's not really clicking. So y'all just bear with me for 1 second. And you know how they do. Okay, come on, come on. Let's not do that. Oh, come on, y'all.
The reason they are banning history is because
Hold on. Okay, so it's freezing up a little bit, but it's okay.
they don't want people to understand their power. Because when
Okay. Okay, come on. I hate this stuff. This irritates me more than you guys understand. It really does.
Hey there, menopause hotties. Yeah, you heard me.
Okay, hold on. Y'all make sure y'all hit that screen. It's all of a sudden now the volume's low, so it's stuff going on, but it's all right. There's stuff going on, but we'll make it. We'll make it. We'll make it. We can do it. Okay, let's see if it's working now.
Because they do not want people to feel bad. The reason they are banning history is because they don't want people to understand their power. Because when you know your history, you know your power. The reason I walk into every room I walk into
Oh Lord, come on, man. Let's not do that now. Boy. Okay. It's acting like okay. Hold on. Y'all just give me something. Y'all give me a little bit of time. Got to work through all of this stuff.
With my head high, it's because I know where I came from, right? I know my legacy. I know my history. And I know that every room I walk into, it's not because of someone's kindness or because of because of some savior. That every room I walk into is because that room got better because I walked in it, and because that room was incomplete until I showed up, because I know my history. And that is why I think it's so crucially important.
All right, then this is what happens sometimes. There's nothing on my end at all, as you guys have seen. The other videos we played has been working perfectly. All of these other videos been working perfectly fine. Now all of a sudden we get to Westmore and the audio gets super low, and then stuff don't want to play no more. All of a sudden there's some major issue and major problem and stuff like that. So now it's that one. This tab. Okay, come on. Now we got some major thing going on. Everything else was fine all up until this point. Now the reception's super bad. Okay. Come on now. We just need this thing to play. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me fast forward a little bit, then see if that changes anything. Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay. Might as well get that off the screen completely then. If we're going to do that, then we might as well get this completely off the screen. Okay.
Consequences to people who look like you and me, to the history of this country, is they're saying there really needs to be a real repair. There needs to be reparations, that actually needs to happen. Late Sheila Jackson Lee fought for it. Ron Dellums fought for it. It's been a cause among many African-American intellectuals, et cetera.
Absolutely.
There was a bill in this state that would have done a study on reparations. You vetoed that bill. Can you tell me why you vetoed it and where you stand on whether or not African-Americans should receive reparations for slavery?
Yeah, I mean, I have a deep.
Okay, this is starting to work now. Okay, everybody's our prayers have been working. It's starting to work now. We got it now. Okay, so she asked him clearly. I knew we was gonna get it. She asked him clearly. Well, what is your stance? Why you vetoed it? All of that stuff about reparations. The conversation of reparations has to come up. Now, remember, Westmore. We've already been holding Westmore's feet to the fire for vetoing the study for reparations because Westmore doesn't want reparations, okay? Westmore wants a whole bunch of policies, these all lives matter policies that black and brown and non-FBAs get to partake in and benefit with, okay? So the question is very simple, and this is what his answer was.
For the work that the Legislative Black Caucus did on this bill. I also have a fundamental disagreement as to what is needed in this moment, and where the bill talked about a 2-year study that would then present to the governor. And my point is this: I am the governor, and I don't need 2 years. What the people need right now is action. And I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do in partnership, where since I've been the governor, that we've now invested over $1.3 billion into Maryland's HBCUs, which is a 60% increase than anything my predecessor got done in 8 years. That we have been able to do the largest mass pardon in the history of the United States of America, where I pardoned over 175,000 misdemeanor cannabis convictions, knowing who that was primarily impacting. That we were able to provide over $400 million going to communities that have been suffered the historical legacies of redlining, of unfair appraisal values, of mass incarceration, of the legacy of Jim Crow, and saying that these are the communities that are then standing in the front of the line with our Just Communities initiative for $400 million to make sure that we can continue doing the work of repair. I believe deeply in the work of repair. I believe deeply that we have to be able to atone for the unbelievable legacy, not just in the state of Maryland, but around the United States, of what we've seen in the history of racism and the way it still continues to impact communities. I also feel right now what we need is action. And that's why I stand where I stood.
And so your idea is
Okay. Let's be honest with you. Let's okay. All of that stuff. Notice he didn't say the word reparations. Notice he didn't say that. Notice he didn't specify where he stood on reparations. He's talking about repair, and then he's bringing up all of these other things. The thing is that none of that is lineage specific. None of that stuff is specific to our lineage. Everybody benefits from that. Notice he's using the same DNC talking points of, well, yeah, the marijuana arrests disproportionately affect certain communities, things that are quote unquote disproportionate. This is what the DNC does. Instead of doing things specifically for Black people, specifically for foundational Black Americans, what they'll do is they'll do things that they can claim is, well, that's a disproportionate benefit to you guys. It benefits everybody else, but there's disproportionate benefit for you guys. Now, when it comes to illegals, they don't get disproportionate benefit. They just get benefit. When it comes to Asians, they don't get disproportionate benefit. They just get benefit. When it comes to all of these other people, they don't get disproportionate anything. They just get what they want. We can't get what we want. He wants to all do. I put a lot of money in HBCUs. Well, it's non-FBAs who go to HBCUs. What does that have to do with all of us? And every FBA doesn't go to an HBCU. That's all fine and dandy that you're putting all of this stuff into HBCUs and doing all of this stuff here and here and here and here. None of what he said really is a justification as to why he vetoed the study. He can do everything he just expressed, everything he just said, and there can still be a reparation study. Even though we're not asking for a study, we're asking actually for the reparations. But the fact that you vetoed a study is slowing us down. Why are you doing that? You can't do both. There can't be a study or a conversation for reparations, and you put money in HBCUs, and you, I guess, lighten up on the cannabis laws and stuff like that. You can't do both. Why are you choosing to veto reparations? He's still not giving a rational justification as to why he vetoed reparations. Talk about, I just want to do the real work. According to him, he's already been doing that. So what would a reparations study stop? It is not a either or, if you think about it, but he's doing stuff that he's saying is disproportionately benefiting us, the work that's disproportionately benefiting us, but also benefits all people, all of these people of color, all of these Black and brown and non-FBAs and even whites and all of this stuff. He's doing this for everybody, but he wants us to see that as a victory for ourselves, okay? And as a suitable replacement for reparations. And we don't see that. No, absolutely not. Let's get into it. Let's continue. Because now we're starting to roll. Okay, we cooking now. So let's go. Make sure y'all hit that like button, family. I appreciate that.
That there should be immediate financial assistance, immediate effects right now, and rather than waiting for a sort of cash transaction reparations. Is that where you're going with this?
If we have to fix the systems and the structures, the systems and the structures are the things that continue to combat us. The fact that we still are dealing with inadequate schools, inadequate transportation assets, that we still deal with environmental injustice, that we still continue this day dealing with mass incarceration, that we still continue this day dealing with the fact that we have a racial wealth gap, that when I first became the governor of the state of Maryland, we had an 8-to-1 racial wealth gap. And that's not because one group worked 8 times harder. That's because of the legacy of racism that continue to plague so much of our society. And so my point is that we have to do the work of repair now. What we need is actions right now. And while I have a deep amount of respect for the work that was done with our General Assembly, and a deep amount of respect for the fact that there have been 4 commissions in the past 25 years in Maryland alone that have helped to deal with the history of racism inside the state of Maryland. What we did not need right now is a 2-year commission to study this issue. We need action. And that's what I want to be able to continue supporting Maryland.
You know,
See, Wes Moore, okay, is an anchor baby, and Wes Moore's allegiance is to his damn tether side of the family. Wes Moore consistently identifies as a damn immigrant and as a child of an immigrant, all right? So his thing is he's not going to do anything for foundational Black Americans that is not also going to benefit immigrants as well, too. All of the things that he's saying that we need to change, we need to solve and fix and all of that stuff, he's doing that in a way that immigrants and other because it's not even just non-FBAs, it's not even just people from the diaspora. I mean, poor whites and everybody can benefit from his policies. He's trying to push these all lives matter policies and frame it as if this is current aggressive action now. We're doing this right now. This is what we need right now. Now just follow where the conversation goes.
Of enslavement is that the quest for cheap labor has never abated in American history. I think we can both agree on that.
Right.
And that for many, many industries,
Still goes on.
It still goes on. And there has been a pursuit of cheap labor that has now come largely from Central America, from South America, people who are in this country working extremely hard, long hours, 12 hours for very little money, sometimes ununionized, not receiving any benefits like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, not qualified for it. They can't vote, but they're here, millions of them. And there is a dogged determination among the current administration to remove them all. And I was just this morning watching a press conference.
That would break the American economy, by the way.
By the way, say more.
Well, when people look at the American economy,
They shift family. They completely shift the conversation from reparations to now they're talking about immigrants. Now they're talking about immigrants. They completely shifted the conversation. Now they're sitting up there talking about immigrants. Okay. That's what they're doing now. Illegal immigrants. That was a very fast shift. Very quick.
See, that's the thing. Sometimes when you're talking to folks in this administration, the facts are really stubborn things and they get in the way of their arguments. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at American GDP and American GDP growth, you know what is helping to fuel American GDP growth? Immigration. If you take away immigration from American GDP growth, essentially American GDP is flat. The reason that we have growth, the reason we have seen growth has actually been because of immigration. Because if you take away immigration and if you take away immigrants from so many of our industries, everything from the construction industry to the healthcare industry to the agricultural industry. When we looked at the crisis and the tragedy of what happened with the Key Bridge in Baltimore, mm-hmm. where we had a ship the size of 3 football fields that slammed into the 2-mile-long Key Bridge, knocking that bridge out instantaneously, and we lost 6 people during that tragedy. 6 people who were fixing potholes mm-hmm. in the middle of the night, fixing potholes so the roads could be smooth when we all woke up in the morning and had to get to work. 6 people who are all immigrants to the United States. Yeah. So.
All right. Okay. Here's the thing. It's unbecoming to speak ill of the dead. We don't have to do that. I'm not going to do that. We don't even need to do that. Okay. It's a tragedy that those people lost their lives. We don't even need to do that. Okay. We don't need to speak ill on them. All right. That's a tragedy. It is. It is. That being said, in no disrespect to them, what they did as far as fixing potholes is not special. Okay. This is not to speak ill of the dead, but let's be honest. Fixing potholes on a bridge is not special. That's not something that only immigrants do. This is what the DNC keeps trying to frame it as, that there's some type of special work or some type of particular job or some type of unique thing that they add to the country that just wouldn't exist if they weren't here. These people are here illegally doing stuff that everybody can do. There are plenty of Black Americans who could be fixing potholes on a bridge, in the street. Okay, he's making it seem like this is some sacrifice that they made. Oh, it was a really dangerous job, and look at the commitment that they have to this patriotic country like that. No, they were fixing potholes. I mean, that's cool. That's great. That's wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic. But it's a pothole. You can pay people to fix potholes. Do you think potholes weren't being fixed before illegal immigrants started coming here? Do you think that if illegal immigrants left, we would just have a whole city full of potholes? Do you think that we wouldn't be able to fix these potholes? They keep trying to frame things as, oh, we need them. They're so necessary. They're so important. All of this. No, there's nothing that they are adding to the country that has not been here before they got here, that will not be here after they leave. Nothing. Okay, with mass deportations. Remember what they told you guys. Guys, do you guys understand these mass deportations? Everything's gonna go up. Food is gonna go up. The fruit is gonna skyrocket. Apple's gonna be $10 an apple. You know, they said that. Oh my God, nobody's going to be picking those strawberries. Each strawberry is going to be $4. $4 for each little strawberry. Is that what's going on? Is that what happened? Are eggs $7 an egg? Are you paying $50 for a carton of eggs? Is that what's going on? No. That's what they've been saying. Oh my God, there's something particular that immigrants are adding to the country that we need them for. No, they're not adding anything that is not here. And you, based off the way he's framing the situation, you can already tell he prioritizes them. They moved the conversation from reparations to immigrants, and now he's talking about, oh, they're so important. It's so necessary. Now, we're going to play a little bit more, but there are specific things, policies, legislation that he's willing to sign off on for their behalf. But when it comes to our behalf, well, we got to get what everybody gets.
It's just, you cannot talk about American vibrance, the American story, and the American economy without understanding that so much of that is driven by immigrants. And I know it's a very personal story for us. I was raised by an immigrant single mother.
See, he keeps saying that. He keeps saying that. So for all of the people be all like, no, his dad is FBA. Damn, not according to him. You never hear him talk about his damn FBA dad. If he has one, the jury's still out on that, to be honest with you. We still got to see proof of that. But even if he does, he doesn't speak on that. He only speaks about his immigrant mother. Because he's an anchor baby and he was raised by her. He only speaks about that. So I don't want none of the Democratic shills being all like, no, he's FBA. No, not according to him.
And I know we have a broken immigration system inside this country. I understand that and I get that. And I know it's been broken for a very long time. But I also know if the president was actually serious about addressing it, he could and he would. The problem is he won't, because he's actually not serious about fixing the problem. He's serious about demonizing a group of people for a measure of political gain.
Right, and I want to, because I think we share this. We both were raised by immigrants, and
Yes.
We understand the immigrant story. And I think your family can attest, as mine do, that it took my mother 16 years to get her citizenship. And there is this pull of American industry that is pulling undocumented people here. It's not as if they're making this up on their own. The demonization, though, of the border has been very successful among Republicans. It is their best issue. How do you protect immigrants in a state like Maryland, where you...
Oh, how do we protect immigrants? Very interesting question. How do we protect immigrants? Now listen to what he says. Okay. I want you guys to think, okay? Do you guys think that he's going to give specific legislation and specific things to protect immigrants? Or do you think he's going to all lives matter their protection? The way he all lives matters our reparations. Because when it comes to reparations, we got to get things for everything. We can't get no direct anything. But let's see, now that she asked about immigrants, let's see what he answers.
Made the point, they're very important to the economy. When people are demonizing them simply for being here and saying, well, they didn't do it the right way, they deserve what they're getting.
First of all, this demonization is real and it's horrific. And it's unfair. Because, and you bring up a really important point, because do you know who I hear that from, in addition to many of the immigrant families who we are interacting with and the immigrant families who we protect? I also hear it from employers who are saying, you know what, I had a person from Haiti who was doing really good work and now has not shown up for 2 weeks, and like, this is hurting my business. Or the person over in Baltimore County who I heard who had a worker who's been there for around 7.
Okay, all right. Okay, come on now. Y'all doing this. Y'all really? All right. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. We're not about to go through that again. I don't know why it's okay. Because it don't seem like it's storming that bad. I think it rained a little bit earlier today, but it's not supposed to really be that bad. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Okay. Okay. All right. That's okay. You know, we got to deal with what we got to deal with. We got to handle it the way we got to handle it. It is what it is. But essentially, now he's talking about we got to essentially he went on further to talk about certain protections for immigrants and for immigrant businesses and things like that. That's what he went to go on to say. I apologize for all of the disruptions and the technical issues and stuff like that. I appreciate you guys' patience and your grace. You guys are very graceful people. It is what it is. Don't worry. Tomorrow won't be like this. Tomorrow will not be like this. We're going to definitely make the necessary changes. So tomorrow will not be like that happened. Tomorrow won't be like this. Okay. I'm definitely going to make some necessary changes to adjust all of these things, turn the volume up, and whatever the case, fix all of the issues that we've had so far this evening. We've had some technical things this evening, but he said that, you know, there are some people who don't want to go to work and all of that stuff. Here's the thing, though. If they're not going to go to work under the threat of deportation, they're clearly not that clearly not that detrimental to the GDP of America. They're clearly not that important to the GDP of America. Okay, clearly not that. They're not doing that. Okay, because if the business can still thrive, and they're talking about small, no, clearly they're not that. And the thing is that you would never frame Black American issues this way. These are jobs that Black Americans get to have. The reason why you guys are caping, you guys are making it seem like these people are doing things that other people can't do. No, these people are being exploited, because a lot of the DNC, a lot of their thing is exploitation, because the DNC and the Republicans work together. The DNC has a lot of corporate donors, big money donors, billionaires, all in their pockets and in their donations and stuff like that. And they benefit from illegal immigration. They also benefit from illegal immigration politically. They strongly politically benefit from illegal immigration. All right. This is what they do. This is what the situation is. This is what the reality is. They benefit from all of that stuff. So they want to keep illegal immigrants. Okay, they want to keep them for the votes. They want to keep them just like Jasmine Crockett was talking about. They want to kind of allow the door to be open in order for them to come in and for them to vote. That's what they want to do. They want them to do all of this low wage, pretty much slave labor that they would have to pay a just amount. They could unionize and stuff like that. They can't do that if they're not citizens. So this is why they want them to come over here. And these immigrants, they are so gleeful to flee their country. They don't care that they're being exploited. They know they're being exploited, but according to them, it's better than where they came from. So they're fine with it. They're cool with it. But the thing is that comes in spite of us, which is why we can't let that happen. The Westmore and the rest of the DNC, they're willing to sign off legislation and to give protective orders to and even money to illegal immigrants. But when they talk about reparations, Westmore talks about, well, we got to do things that, HBCUs, and we got to handle the situation with cannabis and all of this stuff that affects everybody in their mama. That's the thing. The DNC is trying to clean up their mess. I wish we could have went in a little bit more, but it seems like there's going to be an issue for the night. So I got to get some stuff straightened out. So I appreciate you guys' patience with me. I really do. Appreciate you guys' grace. This is kind of, ridiculous, but it is what it is. It happens sometimes. So we got to just go through with it. We got to go through with it, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. The DNC is trying to prep to prime the pump for 2026 and really for 2028. So right now, if you want to know my predictions, right now what they're doing is they're really trying to gas Gavin Newsom up. They're really trying to put a lot of promotion around Gavin Newsom. He's the one that they're really pushing in the forefront to be the next leader of the Democratic Party. And right now, everybody else is kind of trailing behind him. So they might aim, depending on where it goes, they might aim for Westmore to be his vice president. Because Westmore he ain't really got what it takes to be the president. Not right now. They're really trying to push Gavin to be the front. Okay. They want another white man to be the front. And they want to they want to pull the whole Kamala Harris card of having a quote unquote person of color who also is an immigrant, so he can show his allegiance and loyalty to the immigrant community. So this is kind of the formula that they're going with right now. But of course, you have some of the you have Cory Booker and you have some of the other Democrats who are throwing their hat in the ring and trying to prime their pump a little bit early so they can kind of see how the water works, how warm the water is for their presidential run. But that's not going to work. And I'm letting you guys know right now, that's not going to work. We won't let that happen. We just won't. We won't let it happen. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Can't let it happen. Won't let it happen at all. Period. No. So that's the situation. That's what we got. That's what we're dealing with. I wish we could have played the rest of the stuff, but I do also want to talk on some very important things tomorrow. So we got more important things we got to discuss tomorrow. So y'all be looking forward to that. I appreciate every single last one of you guys for your patience and your grace. We have ups and downs, highs and lows of the channel. You guys have been here for the years. So you guys have seen a lot. Y'all have seen the ups and downs and the highs and lows. Y'all seen the channel get messed with. Y'all seen the channel get shadow banned. Y'all seen all of this stuff happen. But you guys are still here. So I love you guys for that. Thank you all for that. You guys are doing a great job. We're all doing a great job. I appreciate you all. Yeah, a lot of people saying that Gavin Newsom, or Wes Moore rather, Wes Moore is kind of shooting for a VP spot. He might not make it, you know, because the DNC got to give their damn stamp of approval. So he might not make it for the actual head of the party. They're trying to, you know, create a lane for that to be Gavin Newsom based off of what we're seeing right now. And they're trying to create a lane for the next VP. Okay. So that's kind of what they're seeing. That's what they're doing right now. But we can see it. But the thing is, as far as it goes, both of them fumbled the bag on reparations, and that's where the movement is. That's where we're going. We're not stopping. We are owed reparations, and we're not stopping until we get it. We know what Gavin Newsom did in California against foundational Black Americans reparations. We know what Wes Moore did in Maryland against foundational Black American reparations. We know what the DNC's party and their agenda is. We already know that. We know what they push. We know who they aim to benefit. We know who their allegiance is to. We know all of these things, and we're not going to be fooled. We're not going to be tricked. We're not giving second, third, fourth, fifth chances. We're not doing any of that anymore. Y'all didn't learn the last time, then that's too bad. It's no tangibles, no vote, because we don't have a problem sitting on the couch. You're not going to reframe the couch as y'all just not being strong enough. You're not going to reframe our statement. Our statement is no tangibles, no vote. Y'all don't want to give up no tangibles, and we don't want to get up off this couch, okay? And I promise you, y'all gonna bend before we do. I can guarantee you that. You will bend before we do. Or you guys just won't win. Y'all just won't win another time. And then Trump can be the president for a third term, damn it. If it's up to y'all, if it's up to y'all and not giving us reparations, Trump will be the president for a third damn time. Okay? He'll pass the damn presidency to whoever he wants to, because y'all not gonna have our back in stopping it. And if y'all really, really cared about stopping Donald Trump, y'all would cut the check. But since y'all don't want to cut the check, y'all don't care that much. So, hey, let him be the third, fourth, fifth, until he don't want to be the president no more, as far as I'm concerned. Because my check and y'all check is the only thing I'm concerned with. Shout out to Cyberdyne. I appreciate you, brother. Shout out to you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that support. Shout out to Latrivia for the cash up. Thank you very much for your support as well, too, Latrivia. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. With that being said, family, I appreciate you guys. Thank you all very much. You all have a good rest of your evening. This concludes tonight's live stream. Thank you all. My exceptional family. Y'all come back tomorrow. We got some good stuff. We got some more stuff we got to discuss tomorrow evening. So y'all make sure y'all come back tomorrow. Let me get off here. Let me fix up some of these bugs we got going on. Let me fix some of that stuff up so tomorrow's stream can be really smooth. All right. I want tomorrow to be, because Wednesday, it's a hump day. It can be a give or take. But tomorrow, I want us to hit home tomorrow. Okay. I want us to knock the ball out the park tomorrow. So today, you know, we tested some things out, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Today was really good, though. We gave some good information today. So that's what we did, what we needed to do. Today was a really good stream, despite the technical difficulties. Okay. Despite the volume being mysteriously low all of a sudden. It wasn't low the whole stream. Then when we play the Wes Moore clip, it's low. Still on the same platform, but it's low. Okay. All right, I see what's going on. Then it don't want to play. Now it's freezing. Okay, we see what's going on. So we're just going to have to adjust, and we're going to have to go around that and work around that. But it is what it is. We've done this before. We've been on here for 5 years, so none of this stuff is new. But tomorrow, we got to have everything be smooth. Everything got to be smooth tomorrow. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be working on that, and I appreciate you guys hitting that like button before you guys leave. I know y'all leaving, but don't leave without hitting that like button. All right. Also, don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. Don't leave without hitting that the notification bell. Don't leave without doing that, family. Thank you. Please and thank you. All right. You all have a good rest of your evening. and y'all stay blessed.